The idea behind it would be, I need something high protein, low calorie, you know, that will last a long time. I can make a lot of it in one go, that sort of thing. And yeah, so this is beef jerky. You know, my style of making stuff is I like to wing stuff a lot. I do have an idea of how to do it, but you know, I've never made it before and I don't really like following recipes. I'm using Silverside, about a 3 kilo chunk of it. It's generally considered tough and whatnot. It's not very nice. It's a very cheap cut, so you know, and it's very lean too, which is exactly what you want for beef jerky. To my understanding, you don't want too much fat. The more fat you have, the quicker it goes bad. In the end, you'll probably be able to make this last about a month or so if you kept it in a cool, dry place in a airtight bag or a container. Trim off any hard sinew and fat that you really don't want. Just make sure it's just a chunk of meat. Pro tip, sharpen your knife because it makes life so much easier. My knife was not very sharp. Now, because this was a tough cut inherently, I figured I want to make my slices against the grain. At the moment, I'm just cutting into chunks that are with the grain, so that when I do slice it against the grain, it'll be, you know, nice large bits of, you know, jerky. And to be honest with you, I probably should have just done even larger. Like, quite frankly, you probably could have just cut that in half. Mostly because of how much easier to bake. You do cut it maybe like 5 mil or so, roughly there, half a centimeter, maybe a bit less. Now, in terms of seasonings, you really just want a crap load of salt and some sugar. Now, I went with a bunch of soy sauce, a bunch of Worcestershire sauce, a bunch of honey, and a few other things. Oh, and I put some apple cider vinegar in it. Well, I figured it would tenderize it. Also, I had some meat tenderizer, maltodextrin, in my cupboard. So, yeah, I just used like a tablespoon of that. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of it, but I was a bit concerned with the cut. And a bit of chili powder, garlic powder in it. I think that's really it. Now, once you mix your seasonings up, it's going to be very salty. I don't think you understand. But make enough that you're going to be able to cover the meat pretty much. And you want to leave this overnight, you know, with a plastic wrap over the top of it. Now, you want this in a preheated oven that's around 80 Celsius, roughly. Here's the bullshit part. Now, as I said earlier, I regret cutting it smaller. You want to cut it even bigger than this, just so that when you put it on your rack, you want to make sure it's aerated, but you don't have to put so many pieces and worry for them to, you know, fall off and whatnot. And you want to leave that in for about 4, maybe 5 hours. The first couple hours, it's going to be very steamy inside. And quite frankly, because these aren't done in a very controlled oven, like a very special oven that they use to make beef jerky, it doesn't come out the most tender you can get. Moisture does help, like a controlled dehydration. Yeah, again, so just put this in an airtight vessel. I did plastic bag, and yeah, it tasted very salty, as you expect. It was not bad, a little bit more salty than I'd like. Maybe I can figure out a better way to do it later on. But yeah, I think this was a fairly decent idea to bulk batch low calorie protein snack. And you know, thanks for watching for all these other videos. Bit of a side project for us, but we hope to progress significantly with this at some point.